Michelle Hines' son was gunned down during school hours in Baltimore City and should be with us tonight. We're talking about this tonight to share how she's been and how she's working to curb violence in the city and public schools. The public school education is failing children, and instead of accountability and correction, the state appears to be covering it up. Also, the View co hosts claim to advocate for people of color, but really are cronies for the elite left, and honestly don't give a damn about us. Next, Stephen Crowder is a conservative, but still needs to be criticized for inappropriate behavior. And finally, Eboni K. Williams gets checked by Iyanla Vanzant, and rightfully so. All that and more next. Enemy territory here. Hello, it's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my host. We have Shelly E, T, and joining us tonight, special guest co-host Blanca Tapajasco. How's everyone doing tonight?
Awesome. Happy Wednesday.
Excellent. Yes, happy Wednesday. And what a Wednesday it is. Today we have reached 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube. So thank you so much for all of the support, all of the comments. Thank you for joining us each and every Wednesday. We are so excited and we certainly appreciate it. Thank you for sharing this broadcast. Continue to share, like, and subscribe for notifications so you know every time we go live and we post content. Ladies, we were talking about this all day as we saw the numbers count down. Are you guys excited about this or what?
Oh, yeah, so excited.
Yes. I've been excited. It's like watching the New Year's Eve ball drop.
Yes, we are. So we certainly appreciate it. And this is just the beginning, guys. We're at 1,000. We want to go, hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be at 10,000. So continue to share.
Let's go.
Yes, indeed. All right. So again, as I mentioned, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you know when we post new content. Also, if you like independent media and want to support what we do, donate. Any amount is appreciated. You can do that by going to our website at www.popandpoliticslive for up-to-date information. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, ladies, let's set it off. So much to get to tonight. We are going to start out with Baltimore City Public Schools. So they've been in the news now from the beginning of the year. Right now, they're making headlines because of lack of oversight. So there are calls for an investigation into the Maryland State Department of Education after the agency changed the way it reports state test scores, hiding certain results from the public. So basically, as I mentioned, in January, the state uploaded a spreadsheet to its website containing detailed state test results from last school year. Now, we know Project Baltimore has been on them about these failings in the Baltimore City education system. Again, the numbers show failed students in Baltimore City failing across the state. Now, all of a sudden, those numbers have been removed. So again, no accountability. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelly. You've been following this story. What do you think is going on here?
To me, this is just a progression in the pattern that has come to fore in recent years. Remember the students, the ghost students, the accountability or lost funding they had to pay back because they overcharged the state. So this is nothing new. Passing students who literally have D's and F's. So this is a progression. Basically, what the Maryland State Department of Education is doing, and to Baltimore City School Board, this is what they're doing to Baltimoreans. That's basically what they're doing.
Yeah. And again, I mean, as if we had reason not to trust the state and not to trust leadership, here is another reason why it looks very shady. I want to get your thoughts on this, T. I mean, looking here, Maryland Alliance for Parents and Students issued a statement saying that the changes should have been preemptively messaged to stakeholders. Addressing it after the fact creates doubt in the community, and watchdog groups who rightly flag this discrepancy. What are your thoughts about this, T?
I mean, as a parent who advocates for their own child in the public school system, it doesn't make us trust the school board system any more than we already did. And I'm not sure if most parents pay attention and know the rights that they have to remove their children from the public school system into the wherever they want. I know that some politicians want to not or hide that information or not let us have our choice of where we want to take our children, but it's resources and things like school choice organization, ed choice, they advocate for students and parents to send their children wherever they want to send them because we have the funds, we have the money. So I just think that it creates this level of untrust or distrust with the school system, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
I mean, we're seeing this across the board, across the country. People in leadership are either covering up or not giving or not giving information that is supposed to be readily available. Here in Maryland, 8 members of the General Assembly raised additional questions for the Maryland School Department of Education's superintendent. They said, why has MSDE removed the column called Proficient Count? Why have they not applying the same enhanced de-identification? Because that was the reason they said that they removed these test scores. Why have they not been applying this to other highly performing schools? They only removed the badly performing ones. And why are they going back and changing historical data? Blanca, I want your thoughts on this. As an educator, are we making too much of a big deal, or are we making a fuss over this that shouldn't be made?
Not at all. This is an issue pre-pandemic, and that we are supposed to just put up with, just accept the status quo, that we have no other choice but to send our children to public school. I talked to a mom today, and she was shocked that $21,000 per student is allocated. She said, "What?" I said, "The preschooler that she has at a Baltimore City public school, that is what it." I said, "Is he getting that $21,000 worth of education?" So this issue is pre-pandemic. It is also, I'm tired of and it's not so much change. They didn't change the data. They hid the data. They hid it. Now, that bothers me because I heard a written statement saying that, the media said that we altered. No, you didn't. And they're really good at it. They're really good at it. That the wording, I read the letter the next day that the report came out. They wrote a letter. Those lawyers must have stayed up all night that Thursday night. And but the asterisk is not changing, it's hiding it. And people already know. And so we're not making a big fuss out of it. What surprises me again is, where are the people at North Avenue standing up? Where's the commissioner? The board commissioners on this issue? And Robert Stokes is the chair for the education committee. In this hearing that just happened last Thursday, no parents were in the hearing. This has got to stop. And we need to show up at the next hearing, which is supposed to be scheduled. And I will be sharing that with as many people as I can. Exactly. We need to show up next hearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the money. So let's take a look at this. Let's break it down because it needs to be talked about and it needs to be called out. Sonia Santalese, who is the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools, and the Baltimore City Public School education system is a prime example on why we need school choice. She is the top paid CEO. This is the highest funded per pupil area and city almost in the country, and they're doing poorly. So you mentioned this school board meeting that they had, and she made excuse after excuse after excuse. She's been in office now for what, 7 years? We haven't seen, how long?
Almost 8 years.
8 years. Okay, almost 8 years. And we have not seen any type of improvement. So it's not working. Right. The money, they've been adding money. That's not working. She's the highest paid, so she's well paid. You know, it's not anything where she's not being paid well. There's no accountability, and they're still doing poorly. So what's going on?
Exactly. Look, a couple of things. So you mentioned the what is it called? Enhanced de-identification. Nothing. The left comes up with the most beautiful. They can come up with the terms. They can find terms for anything. Okay, they are very well at inventing terminology. Enhanced de-identification, number one. Number two, Sonia Santalese says she's a CEO, which means that she's supposed to be running the schools as if they were a corporation from a business perspective. So if Steve Jobs put out an Apple product that would give us the results like our students are getting, we wouldn't buy iPhones, we wouldn't buy Android, Samsungs, right? But Sonia Santalese says can make almost $500,000 a year, and all she does is talks up some talking points. I watched that hearing with Robert Stokes, the councilman. Oh my gosh, I don't know what school he went to, but she was the only one staying there for over an hour. And I still don't know what she said. I watched it. I was on a call last night. Blanca and I were on a call last night for our faith and community leaders. And I asked a question. My question was basically, it was all the resources that we have, with all the money, all the services and supports, why are our children still failing? What's missing? I don't know what she said. I don't know what she said.
I can tell you, I took notes.
Yeah, her salary. Let's not forget that this Kerwin is being funded at about $80 million. And even Brandon Scott said that was a gut punch. Well, guess what? Our students are not learning. They are receiving gut punches every day because they can't read, they can't write, they can't do basic math. And we're still putting them out, churning them through like they did. A cog, like they're going through this cog system, while Sonia Santalese says, and all of these commissioners and support offices and all these titles and different administrators, and our students have nothing to show for it except failure, being illiterate, and being ignorant.
Well, they're raping the system. They're raping the system. They're raping the system at our children's expense, and this can't be tolerated. I mean, it's been going on for years and years and years, and I know that they're trying to hide it, but it's obvious. It's right in our faces. Like, they're raping our children right in our faces. I mean, for the lack of better words right now. And what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it?
We need school choice across the board. Baltimore City is an example for the country of what a failing public school system looks like, and what an area that does not have school choice looks like. And I mean pure school choice where the money follows the pupil. That is the answer. That is accountability. Because when funds start dwindling, when you start getting in a situation where if you don't perform, then competition is included, because you can pull your child out and take your money with you, then we will start to see some type of improvement.
Exactly.
But we do have school choice, by the way. We do have school choice. The three choices that we have in Baltimore City are you can either status quo, a public school, you enroll them in a charter school or traditional school, which is a zone school. We have also the boost program, which thank goodness somebody stood up. Even Bill Ferguson, the president of the Senate, stood up for it. And because Westmore was ready to cut it and gradually cut it, I should say, 2 million now and then later. And the third choice is homeschool. And we do have school choice. What we do not have is, not to correct you, KJ, what we do not have is a CEO that understands, because the question that Shelley answered, I wrote what the answers are. It's right here. See right there where it says what's missing? I wrote her answers were, great question. It's a piece that we've been working on. See, we need to understand that teachers need to understand how to teach kids to read. It doesn't. She talks like a second grader. It says, we've been seeing gains. And I'm like, where? She says, then she went right on and said 30 to 40 days absence is the norm. That 50 days of absence is something that is alarming. Then she had the nerve to say that the faith, and Shelley was there when we heard this. She said that the faith community should be telling the people in their congregations. They said that's something that the faith community can help with. They can tell the parents to make sure that the kids show up because attendance is important. That's not the job of the faith at the faith community. That is exactly what she said after Shelley asked the question.
Now, Blanca, we don't have school choice. We don't have school choice. School choice is when you have a situation where the money, you have vouchers or you have money, the money that is being funded within these public schools, and you can take that money anywhere you choose, whether it be public or private, whether it be to a different school. That is school choice. This, what we have here, is not school choice.
This is called a monopoly of failure.
Yeah,
it's a form of school choice.
I'd love to get some type of funding. They tell me, well, if you're not going to your zone school or school where you're because I live in the city, here's the money. You take that and you go to where you want to go.
Right. We don't have
that option.
We don't have school vouchers, but we do have school choice.
The
boost program is a form of school choice.
Yeah, the boost program serves, I think, less than 3,000 kids, 3,000 families, I think, every year. So many. Not only that, if the public schools are literally mandated. Okay, it's a mandate for children to attend school. If the money is there, the money should follow the child, and the parents choose where that's real school choice.
So for some people in the audience who don't know, what are the options? I mean, we said school choice, home choice or whatever, but why is it that the public school system, they do not want people to take advantage of school choice?
Because it's a monopoly. They don't get the money. If parents took their children out and the money followed the child where the parents chose, they would not have the money. The bureaucracy would be cut in half, if not more. There would not be a need. It's not really a need for it right now, but there certainly would not be a need to have all of these titles and offices and administrators. For what? Making hundreds of $1,000s a year. And what product are they putting out? The children are not coming out with learning anything. They might know how to, I don't know, they might know that a black person or a white person had owned slaves, and then they might be ready to go and tear up the city, but they don't know how to read, write, and do math.
Nor have AC in their school.
And it creates competition. I mean, if we had a situation with true school choice where public funds follow the student, and based on that money, you can take your funds to any school, whether private, whether public, that you choose, it creates competition. Because then these schools have to really work to say, oh, well, I want this person at my school. This is what private schools, this is what we offer. You know, this is how last year we did our students graduated with these types of degree of honors or what have you. And most of our students got this type of grade point average. Then you have, okay, I want to have my child go here. Or if it was trade schools, maybe they start, having some sort of trades. We offer cosmetology and da-da-da-da here. We would love to have you come here. it creates pure competition, and competition creates accountability, because then they know they have to work for our students.
Exactly. And one other thing, a big difference between what we have and what we would have with school choice, real school choice, we would have the bureaucrats would be accountable to the parents and not to other bureaucrats. And parents would not be shut out of a lot of these closed doors meetings. So they would have to be accountable, show up in front of the parents who will demand their attention. They can skate around a lot of parents now and go straight to the Robert Stokeses and the Brandon Scotts and Mr. Chowdhury, where they get cover.
Right. We saw this throughout the pandemic. I mean, parents were begging them to open schools. Can you imagine if we had school choice during the lockdowns? And parents were saying, they're holding their money. We want to move to a school that's actually open. Guess how many schools would have been open during this pandemic? But no, during the lockdown, who was in control?
The unions.
They were the ones who had the CDC's number on speed dial, telling us when they could open, when they were going to close. And all that's coming to light now. That's coming to light. But now they're trying to do revisionist history as to, you had, Walensky, the leader of the largest school union.
Randy Weingarten.
Right. Saying just this week that she wanted to open schools. And we have her quoted all throughout the news saying that she didn't. And now they're trying to change it, since we know that the science was totally against what they were doing. And now they're trying to change what they actually were, where they were advocating for keeping schools closed.
And this is something that we've been trying to tell people the whole time, not just with this subject, but all subjects. We've been trying to tell them, but they want to silence and censor us because we're speaking the truth. And now it's all coming out and everyone is being exposed, and they're trying to do what is it called, crowd control or whatever, not crowd control, when they damage control, when they try to go back and review their words and retract things. And it's not like, we're not stupid. And I hope that people's eyes are being opened right now that the truth is being exposed.
And if I could add, parents need to start showing up at these meetings, but not just showing up to warm up that seat. Be ready with some questions. I'll bet you if two parents, and then those two parents brought a parent, just have 10 people there. And it's not a showing of, oh, here's our defense line. Look at us. We're bigger than the number of school board members. It's not that. To be ready. I know it's a sacrifice, but I mean, at least one time, at least, get really a coalition of parents needs to be formed. That way, maybe we could babysit or something like that. If we don't show up, then we're going to be showed down in the classroom, in the voting process. This is what happens. And locally, we know already, all politics is local, all of it. And people need to start, I can't make every meeting, but I do try to make one quarterly. And the last meeting, guess how many people were there? There was more commissioners than the public. That is something, and I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but if we don't show, then how are they supposed to hear from us if we don't show up?
And they take advantage of that. The fact that no parents show up. Like, we can do whatever we want to do. We can give everyone raises because we know that no one's going to show up. No one's going to.
And that's why I think school choice would be helpful as well, because it puts more accountability on the parents. So, for instance, if you know that you have this money that you can use to go to a school of your choosing, and your child is still in a failing school, or a school that you feel is not, thriving or the best situation for them, then that's on you. But if you have the money, you take your money and your child and you take them somewhere else. But I mean, honestly, yes, I agree. And you guys may disagree with me on this. I understand that parents do need to show up. I do. But isn't there some level of standard that these schools should have, which they are far below, even if parents are not showing up? There is a basic standard of education that all our children deserve, whether parents show up or not. And they are just not getting it right now. They are not getting it. They're not getting it educational wise. The schools are not safe. The buildings are not in good shape. Nothing. It's
Right.
below and subpar. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Let me see here. So speaking of the safety in schools, I do want to talk about that. We Michelle Hines, we have her coming on momentarily to talk about what happened to her and her son. I want to just give you guys a brief synopsis of this. So basically, on March 6th, Isaiah Carter, 16, became the 6th of 7 Baltimore City school students to be shot and killed so far this year. I think it may be more at this point now. He was gunned down steps from his Patterson Park High School during school hours. So now, 2 months later, his mother, Michelle Hines, is joining us momentarily to talk about some of the reform that she wants seen in our Baltimore City school system. We all talked about this situation on the show and talked about the violence that we are seeing in city schools. There was a 12-year-old that was murdered a couple of weeks ago. Can you talk about that, Shelley?
Yeah, the 12-year-old little boy, unfortunately, sadly, horrifically, he was literally gunned down. From what I understand, what I read, he was chased and gunned down, shot multiple times. Now, as horrible as it is that he is deceased, he was murdered. Of course, our hearts go out to his family, no matter what his circumstances were. However, he had some very troubling, to say the least, circumstances that he found that he was involved in. His grandmother even came on the news and spoke about his situation, him being on, I think, house arrest at 12 years old. He was already familiar with the criminal justice system, and his other interactions with, it sounds like gang related or something to that effect. But a 12-year-old was murdered. Another 12-year-old, what, junior high, 6th grade, 7th grade?
Yeah, 6th grade, 6 or 7. Yeah, I mean, what are we doing wrong where a 12-year-old is involved in this type of lifestyle? What's going on? I mean, I saw on the news a couple of days ago, I think it was a shooting in Georgia, I think it was, and the mom was on screen crying. And I think it was her son who had shot someone, or who started to shoot up someone. I don't know if he shot someone or he attempted to shoot someone, and she was just crying her eyes out, and she was just saying, there's no father. She was like, his father is not on the scene, and I can't do this alone. She said that. And this idea, or this, what we have going on in our communities, with this lack of fathers and fatherlessness is affecting us for generations.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all supposed to be, not supposed to be that way, but the some politicians want it that way. That way they can keep control of these mothers and their households, because ultimately that's who they want. They want our children. They want to create this division to where they can go in that path and create this vulnerability with our children that and our families that they can control. Yeah. And I think, we just talked about education. It starts at education. Well, maybe it starts, at choosing better parents. If you're saying fatherlessness, it starts as a family unit. But then next is the education system. And when we don't create these safe environments for our children to learn, what else they're going to do? Stay out in the street.
Well, we have Michelle Hines with us, I believe, joining us now on the broadcast. Do we have her coming on here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yes. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hi. I'm okay today.
Hi. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing better.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. I know we have been chatting offline, and so I'm so happy to have you here. We want to give you a space to just talk about, what's transpired with you, and then what type of advocacy you would like to see as far as the Baltimore City school system.
So for myself, I heard a little bit when my phone wasn't glitchy. about you guys talking about the lack of rec centers. For me, I think that there's just to talk about, like, to start it off, talking about Isaiah and the relationship I had with my child, I find it really bothersome when I hear that the narrative is now we have to focus on the parents and what are the parents doing, and parents, and all that other stuff. And to me, it feels like, in my case, I'm very similar to a lot of mothers here in Baltimore City. So when I speak with other parents who are in their children's lives, when we crank down on their phones, we stay involved within the school system. Like, I become friends with all of his teachers. Well, I had become friends with all of his teachers. And for me, the kind of reform that I would like to see is the fact that there are so many families, like the women on this line, who are in their children's lives, who would like to do more, but we can't. We would like to be involved at all hours of the day, but we can't. We have to go to work. I feel that as far as reform goes for Baltimore City, we need to start having accountability within the school system and accountability within the Baltimore City Police. Because in my case, for Isaiah, it feels like there was a lack of accountability within the school system. So, for example, when we think of a preschooler, and say a preschooler, the teacher left the door unlocked, and a preschooler walks out the building and gets hit by a car, extremely unfortunate. But we're not going to blame the child. We're going to blame the teacher for leaving the door unlocked. We're going to blame the adults that were involved. My issue is that when we look at these inner city schools that are in more poverty-stricken areas, no one is talking about, everyone wants to talk about the parents and the kids and the community. Digital Harbor is down the street. They have issues, but not as serious as some of these inner city schools. Rolling Park is down the street. They have issues. They're not like the ones up the street closer to the city. I feel like there's a lack of accountability starting with the school system and with Baltimore City. Because when children get out of school, at one point in time, for my generation, I'm 33, we were able to go to the rec center after school. Even if you didn't want to, you could go. When my children were younger, if I wanted to send them somewhere after school, well, I don't get off work until 5:30. They can stay there until about 5 p.m., 6 o'clock. Now that's gone. So when you have a bunch of children who have nowhere to go and nothing to get into, of course they're going to be outside. Of course the gang members and other inappropriate people in the neighborhood are going to try to comfort these kids because, well, your parent is at work and you're outside because there's nowhere else for you to go. When I see city schools, I think the reform needs to be about transportation. I need for the city to actually take initiative. All the stuff they're saying right now, it sounds good. The mayor has a great plan with community involvement. It sounds good. This plan was supposed to be enacted before Freddie Gray was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
It's been years. They've had more than enough time to make these changes. Yeah. It shouldn't have taken the heat of myself, other mothers, podcasts like yours, other Channel 45, eyewitness thing about the school system. It shouldn't have taken all of these deaths, all of these losses, all of this nonsense for them to say, okay, well, let's be involved with the families.
Michelle,
Michelle,
hi. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to ask, number one, what kind of changes would you like to see from the school system to hold them accountable or for them to be accountable to?
I would like them to be accountable for when my child is in school. My child should have been in school. Whether he left out the building, whether he wanted to, whether he was with friends, he was a child. Everyone has promoted this large picture of him with his military uniform on for JROTC. That uniform to me also was kind of a ploy in the media because it makes him look like a young man, not the child that he was. And my son was a 16-year-old child who still played with toys and video games. I would like the school, as far as accountability, for them to, not necessarily regarding my case because it's still an ongoing investigation, but I would like to see all of Baltimore City, and this is just the start, have some kind of way of knowing where these children are during school hours. Mm-hmm. Where were the people who were supposed to be at their posts? If we know with every other department for the state, they outsource if they don't have enough employees. There are several different security agencies. Why not change the way the schools are completely? If we've seen over 5 children be killed during school hours near a school? How come they haven't changed it to have people guarding the campuses or patrolling these areas that are close?
Yeah, that was my question. Because so is it a situation where the children, and this is what children do
Hey,
sometimes.
did I lose you all?
Oh yes, I think you had, I thought you had stopped talking. I think you had frozen. But my
Oh yeah,
oh, okay. My
but I
question,
mean,
I just had a question. So is it, because I was confused, is it a situation where the children are, and again, children do this, I probably did it, where they're leaving the school early and then, and there's no, you're saying people, the teachers or administrators should be there in a place to not allow these kids to leave in the while school is still in session, is, or are you saying after school is where you want the guardrails?
I want it to happen before and after. I believe that in Baltimore City, we should have transportation. I know there's a shortage with buses and all that stuff, but in Maryland, Baltimore City in the U.S. is one of the number 1 through 5 states. It's the most dangerous city. I'm sorry, I said state. It's one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. Why don't we have adequate transportation prior to school hours and after, when every other county in our state does? That makes no sense. During school hours, knowing that in these more crime-ridden areas like Southeast Baltimore or the Southeastern District, why aren't there patrolmen guarding the campuses or walking around the campuses? Where my child was murdered is a heavy area right next to the school, is a heavy area where children not only hook school, but they hang out. They literally are known to hang out there.
Right. So
Why
you're
aren't
saying
there people
it
there?
shouldn't be allowed. There should be some type of either security or police presence to say if you see these groups of kids, hey, you guys, you're not supposed to be here. Go back to school. Go where you need to go. I see what you're saying.
Yes, even with speaking with the school, they let me know that they have a way of knowing when kids leave the building. I heard St. Elise say on the news the same day that my child was murdered, well, we have cameras on all the doors, but not all the exits. We can't see where the kids are leaving at all times, so why not?
Right.
The former principal at that school, when my cousin was going there, she only allowed 2 doors to be unlocked during the day. She
Right.
had someone on the cameras at all times. She had everyone posted up in the hallways, the hall monitors. Children weren't leaving the building. They couldn't, even if they
Right.
wanted to.
And that's I remember the same thing. We had, like one of the commenters said, we had a school resource officer. Not only that, we did have these, well, I went to school in Florida, but we had these areas of security in place where you couldn't leave, go off campus. Nobody could come in. You couldn't come out. You couldn't go out. And I don't understand what happened. Did these leaders, did they become so lenient with the children, or where did it go left?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, like, oh, go ahead.
And I wanted to ask you, has any of the school leaders or administrators reached out to you since the passing of your son? And what did they do? What did they say to come to your?
The school did. They called me about a week later. They're letting me know, is there anything that we can do for you? Is there any way that we can help? That was the principal. As far as Baltimore City schools, no, none of their leadership has reached out. Santa Lee, she was on the news. I don't know who she is. I was able to meet with the chief of schools because I requested it, and I met with the principal because I requested it, not because it was offered. Because if they offer anything, well, it makes them sound guilty.
Wow. So wait a minute, Michelle. I know you just answered. I just want to make sure I understand. You're saying no one, and if you can't talk about it legally, I understand that. But you're saying no one from the Baltimore City school system has contacted or followed up with you since your son was murdered?
Oh no. So the principal, she did follow up with me a week later. She followed up with me and she asked, was there anything that they could do? Was there anything I needed? And I asked, what could you do? What can you offer? Like, what are the services that you guys have? You know what? I would like to sit down and speak with the lady who was on the news and the man that was on the news. I'd like to sit down with them and talk about these realistic plans they're talking about with school safety at Patterson High School. Because being the mother of a student there was no safety. The children were in the parking lot all the time. The children were behind the school all the time, around the school all the time. Yet, if you go there right now, it's instantaneous. There are no children in the parking lot, in the park where they heavily congregate, because now they're being, for the moment, they're being for the attention that they're getting now with the death of my son, the death of the other young man, the death of the kids who went across the street, the death of the child in the parking lot, at the field on Marvo. And yeah, now it's becoming a problem. Because all these deaths keep happening during school hours, and they didn't happen when we were kids, not at the school. So it's like, to me, the school reached out and asked what they could do. My question was, what can you do? Then it was, I would like to sit down with some of these leaders you have in place. And when I was able to sit with them, we did brainstorm, and they wanted to pick my brain for what innovative ideas I had for fixing this stuff. That's not changing the system. That's not changing the city. That's you responding to a disgruntled parent. That's you mediating.
This needs to be something systemic. So it shouldn't just be Patterson Park High. This needs to be something they address systemically across the city. So with that, not the principal you need to speak with. This needs to be either the city council or the school board needs to put something in place to affect the entire city school system. This is what we would think would be happening. Well, so that something like this doesn't happen again. I remember when I was in school, we couldn't even congregate after, if they see a crowd, some police would come or security guard would come, and everybody had to disperse. So I don't know. I don't understand this what's going on here now.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Any last thoughts that you would like to leave for the audience, or anything that you have, any initiatives or any way people can assist or help with what you're trying to do now or get started?
Well, what I'm trying to do now, I will, it's been posted on my Facebook page, but there will be an event on June 25th where a lot of community organizations and a lot of the nonprofits here in Baltimore City, we will be meeting up and discussing what changes can be made in the city. There's also the Let's Rob Put the Guns Down Coalition, which is a nonprofit that was created to put the Guns Down Coalition. It's actually a group that was created by Lisa Moloch. She's from Let's Rob Baltimore, and she has literally been working with all of these nonprofits in Baltimore City, from the ones that do youth intervention in prison, youth intervention in schools, youth intervention in the streets. Like, we've been unified. It's all on my Facebook page, so hopefully.
What's your Facebook page, Michelle?
Oh, Michelle Hines. It's my regular name, but it's like a following page now. Michelle Hines. It's my first name and last name. But I have been sharing the links on my page because we are going to be pushing for an Isaiah Carter school safety bill. With this bill, we are looking for adequate transportation, adequate security during school hours, because even studies show that more Black and brown children are shot and murdered on school campuses than in, not mass shootings. This kind of occurrence is very common in the United States. So and with this bill,
we talk about all the time. I mean, goodness, it is tragic, of course, for these mass shootings that we do see publicized, but this is what we need to start talking about, this violence within the schools for our children.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is something that we can easily kind of get a hold of locally, but it takes our leadership, those in leadership to get active. So I implore people, you definitely go to Michelle Hines' Facebook page and get on board and see what we can do to advocate. That's actually a good idea, because when you think about county schools, they have the buses take them to and from school, but city school students have to depend on public transportation, and it kind of leaves a lot to happen. With that.
So Michelle, I just want to say to you, of course, nothing that any of us can say will alleviate your pain. But just as a mother to mother, outside of all the advocacy that you may be doing now, if there's anything I can do for you personally, just as, again, mother to mother, if there's anything, please let me know, or if you don't mind me touching bases with you, just saying, hey, how you doing from time to time. So.
No, I don't mind at all. And thank you guys for the opportunity. You actually got me on a good day because I just came from grief counseling, so I just did all my crying about for the last hour. So I'm glad that you guys were able to, wait for me to get on as well and for me to share my part. But I do really plan on making a lot of noise, and I hope you guys will start signing whatever it is that we need signed. And I'm speaking with people who write legislation and stuff, so it'll be a long haul. It'll take at least about a year when it opens up for the first time for the bill to go into place. But I will keep you posted and your team. I hope to see you guys at some of the events. And I'm just letting you know if I can help in any way, if you want to spread the word as I get more stuff going.
Thanks. Take care.
We appreciate your efforts in honor of your son.
Yeah.
It's all for him. Because honestly, if it was up to me, I would be underneath a rock right now.
I understand.
Yep. All right. Thank you. You guys have a good one.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well,
I don't blame her. I would for my child too.
Yeah, we all would. We're all mothers.
Yeah.
I shared with you, Shelly. I was in the grocery store. What was it, Monday or Tuesday? Today's Monday. It was either Sunday or Monday. And the ladies in front of me were talking about the violence that is occurring in schools with these children. And so they were in like a really intense conversation. So then my turn came up and I said, yeah, I heard you guys talking. It's crazy. This was in the city, all this violence here in the city. And so I told her that I had reached out to Michelle Hines and she was like, oh, you did? And she started crying, just talking about Michelle Hines' story and Isaiah. And so this is, us as mothers, we understand this. Something needs to be done. Yeah, so definitely anything we can do to assist and help and to curb this violence and make sure our children have safe spaces in public schools, we definitely are on board. So, yeah. So that leads us to our next topic. We thank you so much, Blanca, for joining us tonight. Any last thoughts of on what just happened here?
Well, for her to mention transportation, that is such a dire need, especially when you're not in your zone school. Here, here's pretty much the opportunity. Shelley and you and T can agree. Here, you found a great charter school, and then you need to go to work, but your child needs to be picked up. So I really appreciated her bringing up the transportation that all other jurisdictions, have. Transportation. We need to rely on the regular MTA. For her to share about this bill introduced, it's action through tears. To be honest with you, she mentioned that this 1 hour she at least could be composed, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. So I'm not going to say I understand or could ever understand. And so she really is advocating. She's putting feet and she's putting teeth into what has to be done because her son is going to be her motivator now.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Blanca.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to definitely be viewing the rest of the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blanca.
Bye.
All right. So that was that. Again, that was Michelle Hines. You can find her on Facebook. She did say she has an event coming up. I believe it was June 25th, was it? So certainly check her out there. We're going to do our part. This is something we can definitely, get involved with. Find out all the factors that go into it and advocate for this, for safety within public schools. Again, as we mentioned at the top of the show, I do believe school choice is a very big part of this. Because again, when you mess with these school systems' money, then they start waking up. Mm-hmm. Yes, they start waking up. If it becomes a situation where they're not going to get funding or get paid, if children and parents start leaving some of these schools, I bet you'd see more school resource officers. I bet those doors would lock quickly and things like that. So, and just the fact she said the principal had reached out, but the uptick in violence that we're seeing in Baltimore City schools, you would think someone from the school board would reach out. No?
You would think, but again, they are bureaucrats first. That's what they are. They're bureaucrats first, and maybe always.
And it's not like this case wasn't on the news or anywhere. I'm surprised even Brandon Scott. I mean, they have this task force and everything for victims. So why not have at least a mayor? They have an office for everything else. Why they can't have an office to go out and talk to these parents who have lost their children in the hands of the school system?
And let me tell you guys, and I hate to get political here, but we do ourselves a disservice when we continue to vote for this one party and they feel like they can give us their ass to kiss. Mm-hmm. They don't have any accountability. They know they're going to be voted back into office. The ones who get elected going to get back in, and then they put their cronies in civil service to these appointed positions, that aren't where you elect people. And it's a good old boy system.
Exactly.
In the Democrat Party. And they feel like Baltimore's, fully Democrat. We're going to vote one way. Why do I have to do what these people say? Why do I have to do something about crime? Why do I have to do something about education when it's nobody else for them, they believe, to vote for?
Exactly.
Oh, they'll show up at the latest party, though.
Yeah.
Preakness is coming up. I want to see what kind of outfits they got for Preakness. They'll show up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Preakness is well secured.
Yes.
Police officers all up and down Northern Parkway.
Yep.
You got bodyguards all over the place. Nobody's getting shot there.
Exactly.
And let me tell you, when Preakness ends, you better believe police officers and private security are monitoring everybody to their cars and making sure they get home.
Exactly.
You can't hang out around Preakness.
Exactly. Right. Let's mention that day to day, the mayor and many of his administrators and they ride around in bulletproof cars.
Yeah.
Blackouts. That's what they ride around in.
Exactly. Nobody's getting in that's not supposed to be there. Mm-mm. I tell you that. And nobody's getting out unless if you go out, you can't come back in. I mean, it's not rocket science. No. But again, what's tied to Preakness? Money.
Yep. Oh, hit them where it hurts in their pocket, I bet.
Exactly.
They'll start saying something.
I would throw out and ask people seriously, with a protest, make it a huge protest all across Maryland, particularly Baltimore City. Take your children out of school for a week, a month, whatever, and watch what happens.
Yeah. All right, we do have to move on. So our next topic of the night is The View. So I want to talk about this again. We're talking about what really matters, honestly, and we were talking. This is what matters. Our community is getting killed in the streets by us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, definitely, police violence is something that we should be looking out for. But I'm not worried about I'm a city resident. I'm not worried about the police. I'm worried about somebody that looks like me.
Right. And
let's see what The View is advocating for. They always talking about, BIPOC communities and things like that. Let's see. This is clip number 1. Let's see what they advocate for on The View.
She was, I think, the guest of honor for so many people. I have a message for you from her, Whoopi, because when I saw her, I know her a little bit, and so I do too, did the hug thing. And I think we have a picture of us together. I forgot that she's 7'4", actually. I mean, I'm Lilliputian next to her. But she I said, I'm so happy you're home. And she said, thank you for all the advocacy you did, The View did, Whoopi did. I got the messages.
Good.
And that was really incredible to me because I'm on the WNBA Board of Advocates, and we had been speaking to the White House. You and I were constantly, you know, speaking to the White House, trying to get her home. And it's so important for people to realize that that kind of advocacy works.
Yeah.
Like, you can help people that are abroad. And I think we need to see more of that with, you know, Austin Tice, and we need to see more of that with
we have
Evan.
not done we have not done a lot.
And their families were there.
And their families were there last night.
Yes.
Right about the wrong thing.
Aren't they? Why do we know the name of Brittany Griner, who was away in Russia doing something illegal?
Right.
And got caught, but we don't know Isaiah Carter's name.
Exactly.
How much advocacy have they done for the 6 kids shot in Baltimore City?
Nope.
Or in Alabama a couple weeks ago when a Sweet 16 party was shot up? Was it 6 people? 6 kids
I
were
think it
killed?
was 6 people, but it was like the dozens have gone to the hospital. I think
it was like 27, I think.
Yeah, were injured. Yes.
What, do we know their names?
No.
Is The View talking about that? These are Black and brown people getting shot and killed in Baltimore,
every day,
in Alabama, in Chicago, in Philly.
Every day.
Exactly. And she creaming over this Brittany Griner.
Right.
Yes,
and you know, look, the fact she mentioned that she was on the advocacy board or something.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
you know
what?
Right. But not only that, she doesn't advocate for Mr. Whalen, who's still a prisoner in Russian, right? I bet she doesn't know his name. And she's talking about these, I think it was another guy in Russia. I think his name is Mark. I looked it up earlier, Mark Fogel. He's still a prisoner in Russia, being imprisoned, you know, illegally or whatever the word is you want to use. But these, let me tell you what The View is. The View, they are a group of elitists, arrogant snobs, okay? And all they want to do is hobnob with the people who they think look good and that makes them look good. And they do absolutely nothing for any community except the elitists that they hobnob with. They are phony, okay? They are fake. And that Sonny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and I don't know what happened to Joy Behar, all of them are full of crap. They just want to see me, look at me, I sound good, I look good on the red carpet, and I look good on the WNBA.
I don't think they look good. Whoopi can never look good.
But just like the bureaucrats in the school boards, just like the crime and the people that is not addressed here, this is what they're saying to the American public. This is what they are also saying. Because Sonny, Whoopi, and Joy, and all the other ones, they would not step foot in Baltimore City or Chicago or Philadelphia, or they would not do it. They will not do it. If they do, they're going to have an entourage of security, the same security, armed security that these jackasses on The View, then they will be advocating for us to be unarmed. But they will come in full force. They are phony. They are elitists. They are snobs. They think nothing of us and the people in the inner city that they claim to advocate for.
They think of us for votes. They're stooges for the Democrat Party, period. That's what they are. They're stooges for the established Democrat Party. They push these issues that they feel Black and brown people will get emotional about.
Right.
But when it comes to the real issues that plague our community, like education, failing education systems, like violence in our cities, in our schools, like all of these issues, they could care less because it's being run by their Democrat cronies.
Yep.
Well, they don't want to talk about it. When
they don't even live in the areas where they advocate for this stuff, but they live in protected glass houses and white picket fences, security out the yin yang. They don't even live they don't suffer the consequences for the same policies that they advocate for.
Now, I'm not trying to tell people what to do with their time, but it seems very unnecessary and a waste of time to advocate for what'd you say, basketball across the world or whatever that is. It seems very unnecessary when you have children. I'm sure no matter where you live, there's an inner city. There are children who need time for you to and energy to put into them. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can always give back. Since you seem to care so much, you can always give back to your community if you really care.
They don't care. They only care about these issues that stoke emotion within the Democrat Party. Their base, these Black and brown people. The police violence. Okay, yes, it's tragic if a police officer shoots and someone that is not, so they're not supposed to shoot. It is tragic. But that is not the majority of violence that affects our community.
At all.
We have failing education systems within many of the cities within the United States. They don't talk about that. Why? Because these cities are run by Democrats. And
it doesn't fit their narrative that white people or white supremacy is doing all of this to Black people. It doesn't fit the narrative that we're doing it to each other. It doesn't fit the narrative that, we are oppressed and we need this and that from the government to help us.
Exactly. Right. And I don't care how tall Brittany Griner is. I don't care whatever makeup or Brittany Griner is a woman, is a female. She's a female. She will never be a man, and she's not married to a wife. I don't care what she calls it. That's a female too. A marriage is a man and a woman, and she's not a man. I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of it. And Sunny Hostin and The View, Whoopi, all of them, they can claim these people are trans, whatever. No, you are a man if you have a penis, and you are a woman if you have a vagina. And Brittany Griner, if no one has told you, your little confused mind, you are a female.
I think she goes by female though.
Well,
yeah, I think she's
okay. Well, then I take it back. Well, she still is a female though, but
yeah, she.
And then Sunny is all, oh yeah, I know her. Like,
that's what I said. I mean, this groupies, these old lady groupies, just trying to stay relevant, and it's really sad. It really is. It really sad. I mean, it's just like, I know her, and
Yeah. I mean, it would be something if they were actually putting out wisdom and
quality
that would be beneficial for younger people, but they're not. Yeah. The ideas and the stuff that they put out is foolishness, and it really gets people a lot of dire consequences for years to come. Young people who follow them.
And they have I don't think any young people follow them. I don't think anybody follows them anymore. But they have the platform, and it's a waste. It's a waste of views. It's a waste of TV time.
It's a crappy view. It's a crappy view.
Yes.
It's a crappy view. What they talk about is crappy. What they look like is crappy. It's a crappy view. Yeah. So there it is.
Poor Barbara Walters. She's turning over in her grave right now.
Poor Bob.
Yeah.
Well, we'll continue to follow this. Again, continue your comments. We love the comments. If you haven't done so already, subscribe and hit that notifications bell. That way you know every time we post new content. Share this broadcast in a message or on your timeline. Definitely, we want to grow our audience. We have hit 1,000 subscribers today. So thank you so much for your support. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. So we are moving right along. This is we want to talk about Steven Crowder stuff going on. So this kind of blew up last week. Again, apparently, a new video has come out. Well, firstly, if you don't know, Steven Crowder is a big podcaster on the conservative side. And he has come out in a video. Apparently he's going through a divorce with his wife. And the video showed him not in a very unflattering light. Take a look here. This is clip 2.
Okay, I love you. I love you very much.
I don't love you. That's the big problem. I've never received love from you. And the fact is, when I don't, look, I need you to do A, B, C, and D. You just be disciplined about it. You go, no. But I love you more than life itself. Okay. Put on some gloves. No. But I love you more than life itself. That's not fair. It's not fair and it's disingenuous.
All right, so that was just a clip. I urge you, if you want to see the whole thing, to go online, but he was just really nasty. As you can see, his wife is very pregnant. It just was very unflattering. I want to get your thoughts. What did you think of this whole thing, Shelly? Did you have a chance to see the whole video?
I did.
All right.
And yeah, I thought that clip, let me say this in context. That clip, as it was shown, or as it has been shown, yes, he came off very nasty. But my bigger concern is this. That is something that was private, that was never supposed to have been or at least thought to have been publicized. And so I'm not going to sit here and castigate Steven Crowder or his wife. I don't know what's going on in their marriage, and neither do 99% of the public. All we know is that clip. And I think basically we should mind our business.
All right, we'll get your thoughts, T. What are your thoughts on this?
I'd agree with Shelly totally. We should mind our business. However, now that it is in our faces, it doesn't shed a good light in how he speaks to his wife, his pregnant wife. I mean, what goes on behind closed doors within their own marriage is what it is, but now that we've seen it, it doesn't look good. I don't think that he should have been. I saw the full clip. I don't think he should have been talking to his wife in that manner, but
exactly.
Especially what he had to say afterwards, and how he tried to justify it by saying, "Oh, it's mostly the reason, the fact that she can divorce him in Texas is because she can if she wants to, or whatever the thing was,
divorce or something."
Yeah, and I'm like, he's worried about the wrong thing, and sounds very narcissistic.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, definitely we all have our personal business, but he's a public figure. It was brought to light. He does come off as this, conservative guy, and that just wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And let me tell you another thing I had. I was really upset when with Candace Owens. She had to put her foot in it. Like she knows what's goes on in their marriage. Look, again, the video does not put him in a good light. Of course, his wife was very pregnant, and whatever the circumstances are for their divorce, that video was not it. That was just a snippet of whatever has been going on, however much time. Okay. So any of us could have private moments that we would not even dream would be aired publicly, and we would not put us in a good light in that one instance of time. So that's why I'm saying I would be careful to just throw him to the wolves. Okay, no, that clip doesn't do him justice. But for Candace Owens to step in it, I mean, she was on her
step in it. He put her in it.
He put her in podcast like she knows what's going on.
Well, he started talking about her before she never said anything about that man until he brought her up. He made an entire podcast prior to her doing it, talking about she was
defaming him.
Right. Before she even said anything about this clip or anything, saying that she was not even defaming him, but she, I guess, kind of insinuate that she was maybe blackmailing him in some way, and things like that. She came out extorting, thinking she was extorting him. And she came out and said she had never talked to his wife. She has never, claimed any type of stuff. She actually said she was going to sue him for saying that. So, I mean, she has the right to defend herself. And he met the wrong one.
He didn't meet the wrong one. She did the same thing with Kim Klacik. I mean, to me, she's a bully, an instigator. I'm sorry, T. Go ahead.
She's a bully, but
she's responding to him. I mean, again, the Kim Klacik thing was totally separate. But again, I mean,
So look, let's stay on topic here. Let's stay on topic.
No, I did not agree with the Kim Klacik stuff. I do not agree with everything Candace Owens does. But I will say this. She doesn't lose. Okay? She doesn't lose. Whether you like or dislike this woman, generally speaking, those who she comes into contact with public or private conflicts with, she does not lose. And
Okay.
So let's go back to the topic here, because Candace Owens is a whole different topic.
Right.
But this is what happens. I mean, unfortunately, this is what happens in divorce. And this is, everyone wants to show why they're right, show why they should be the one getting the money or whatever they're fighting over. This is divorce can be a very nasty thing, and people become totally different monsters through divorce. And this is just, and I mean, who knows? Even though his wife was pregnant, on the other hand, who knows? That could have been, something she probably did. I mean, I'm just assuming she probably did or said something to provoke him to respond this way to her. But I mean, I don't know him personally. I don't know his, how he is, but the things that he said, I mean, that is coming up now, it could be all as a result of a nasty divorce.
Right.
And certainly not what's on the video. Could be. We don't know.
Right. That's not what's on the video. But interestingly enough, that's the only video that has been shown so far, at least that I'm aware of. So of course, we can only assume, or at least I can only assume, that it came from the wife's side. And I'm not saying she's guilty of anything. I'm not saying he is, except for in that clip. Yes, it does not put him in a good light. But like T said, I'm saying the fact that clip is only one moment in time, none of us has a larger context of what was going on in their marriage. Obviously, whatever has been going on is leading them to divorce.
Right. So, obviously, pregnant or not.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll move right along to Eboni K. Williams. So Eboni K. Williams is an American lawyer and television host. She co-hosts the late night talk show State of the Culture on Revolt TV. She's also an ex-Real Housewives cast member. She was on the Real Housewives of New York and for one season, and she caused a bunch of turmoil on there. Well, she's back in the news with a sort of a little thing with Iyanla Vanzant. Take a look at this clip.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver.
All right. So that video, that exchange went viral. So my first question, okay, for you, T, would you date a bus driver? And what did you think of her response?
Okay, it's not fair to ask me if I would date a bus driver. The bus drivers that I've seen here in Baltimore, no, I wouldn't. But I have a few thoughts when it comes to this. The first thought is, first of all, I would not take relationship advice from Iyanla. First of all, where's her man? And secondly, she wouldn't date a bus driver either. She would not.
Why? She said,
and even if she would, she just showed her what's the word? Oh, I'd have my stash. I have my money. That's not like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I can't find the word right now, but it's not being true. Yeah, you date him, but you have your stash. I guess she didn't say marry him, so I guess it's different. However, second thing is, I'm tired of people, especially Black women or in the Black culture, thinking that Black women are supposed to settle or date down just because of struggle, love, or whatever this thing is that Black women, this woman, I wouldn't blame her. If I was making money or this, this type of money that this woman has, I wouldn't want to date a bus driver either. So why are we saying, oh, just date somebody who is a man and has a penis? That's not.
She didn't say that, T.
That's kind of the same thing. That's kind of the same thing. Like, we should not lower our standards. We shouldn't lower our standards to build somebody. Nobody needs to build a man.
First of all, she didn't say that. The response that you and this chipmunk-looking woman are giving, it's very superficial. It's very superficial. Yeah. You guys are placing judgment just off of what a job or a profession that someone works. She didn't say who this man was. You guys have cast judgment just because he is a bus driver. That is so terrible.
True. However, you're saying that as a normal person, if you had millions of dollars, for example, would you date a bus driver? If you were a millionaire, would you date a bus driver? I know you're married. You can't really answer that, but
I'm saying if I wasn't married, first of all, I know a bus driver. And let me tell you, the man has money. He makes very good living. He's a hard worker. He is a nice man, great looking man. Is he making millions of dollars? No, but he is a very good student of his money. He has a home. He has a very nice car. Bus driver. Actually, I know two bus drivers. I know another bus driver. He drives the bus.
I haven't seen these bus drivers you're talking about.
I know a couple of bus drivers.
Also, he has very good benefits. I don't pass judgment. I did not do that.
It's not just the bus driver; it's the class. She's talking about a class of men. But Iyanla did give some standards, and she basically said that we women, Black women, we do ourselves a lot of injustice because we don't measure the man by the right standards. All we're looking at a superficial aspect. That's number one.
I agree with that.
Number two, T, to your point about when she said she would keep her stash. Well, I disagree with you. I laugh with Iyanla because I remember old folks, my grandparents, my grandmother's generation, people were married. They were married for years, decades, but the women always said a woman should always keep a little side stash. So when she said that, I think she was saying that from Iyanla is an older woman. I think she was saying that from that aspect. And guess what? Their men knew they had a little side stash. They just didn't know how much was in it. But women have always had a little side stash. Why? Mostly because women have always been the caretaker for the children. So it had something, it was tied to that, not just about keeping secrets from your spouse or whatever, but it was always if the man left or if the man died or whatever, a woman always needed something to fall back on as well if that man's income was not there. So that's what Iyanla was saying that for. It was funny, but I understood exactly what she meant.
Look what this is. So this Eboni K. Williams, so back in January, I believe, or February of this year, she was quoted by People magazine. She says, actually it was Access Hollywood. She says, my biggest life update is that I'm actually pursuing a single motherhood journey. I don't want to jinx myself with sharing too many details, but I'm deep into my process, Williams 39 shared. I have embryos and I'm looking to transfer later this year. So, I mean,
well, she doesn't want any man then. So, bus driver or not.
She didn't even ask the question. It was just like a flat no.
If he owns, she said if he owns the bus.
Well, let's see what her response is because she got a lot of backlash after that comment. Let's see what her response is here. Take a look here.
So out of the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of Black men when I said what I said. But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and Black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm going to say one more time.
She was, I think, the guest of honor for so many people.
Now, so that was to my point.
You're crazy. That was a bunch of BS.
That was to my point that people expect black women to lower their standards so that they can be with
Why is a bus driver just
black men for the sake of black men?
First of all, she is reaching big time. First of all, how does she know the bus driver got D's and C's and all this type of crap?
Or only C's and D's drive buses? Why? That is
because it's the narrative that they weren't driven enough in their life to become something more than a bus driver.
What? Wait a minute. What do you
mean?
So every man that drives a bus or does not make, I don't know, millions of dollars or have this white collar job is really a man that's not good enough for a black woman?
No, they weren't driven enough to do more than to just drive a bus.
Woman needs to actually be
ambitious, or
educated. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Okay, I know a man who's actually a millionaire and he drives a bus. Okay,
those are exceptions, though, KJ. That's not your typical.
So it's still
that's
about
not
the
your
money.
typical bus driver.
So you're saying it's about the money, T?
I'm saying it's about the occupation and the lack of drive.
This is sad.
That is sick. You mean a bus driver? If he loves his job, if he loves driving a bus, whether it's a public transportation for school, whatever, if he loves driving a bus. What about truck drivers? Truck drivers make really good money.
That's the difference. Yeah, there's difference between a bus driver and a truck driver.
Very good, decent money too, but the thing about it is, I mean, this woman is not like a 20-something-year-old. She's 40. Okay. This woman is 40 years old. She's talking about she's saving her. I don't think she has children. So I guess
that's why she's getting embryos. That's why she's freezing
embryos. You know, like what's his name? Kevin Samuels said she's gonna die alone
and with a dog.
Yeah, and be a burden on her family, on her kids. If she does actually get the embryos fertilized, she's gonna wind up being a burden on her children.
And why is that exactly? Because she has her own standards? Is that because she has her own standards?
No father. Again, another child without a father in the home.
Yeah. And she has an elitist attitude. She hasn't even given this person a chance. I mean, I could see if she would said something like, well, she was like, if it's a bus driver, you know, if he's a nice guy, or if he, you know, is a good provider, you know, or something like that, then no, she just flat out said no.
No.
You know how women who make more money than their husbands or their partners, you know how they treat men. So why would you want to put a man into that situation where if she makes more money than him, she's going to treat him like another, and he's going to be intimidated.
So then you agree it's really her, it's not him.
It's them. It's men too. When men feel, or they're in a situation where the woman makes more money than them, they often feel intimidated, and that causes issues in the relationship.
Well, guess what? She ain't getting a bus driver, and she ain't got the white collar person either, because she's freezing her own embryos.
Iyanla doesn't either, though, and she said she'll date. She said she'll date a bus driver. So where's her bus driver?
I mean, I think she's married, or if she's not married, she has a boyfriend.
She's not married.
Time. Okay, well, a long
time. She had. I think she was raped or something. So she had I think children. I'm not sure. She has more than one. I know she was raped. I thought she had a child through her rape, but she doesn't have a man now.
Iyanla is much older than this woman. Yeah. First of all,
I mean, you said she was 40s, and so in her 40s, she should.
Like in her 60s, or maybe.
No. The girl, Williams.
that's what I was saying.
Iyanla is trying
Iyanla
to teach her and
Right.
tell her basically how she can, I guess, add to her life and, you know, grow and nurture with somebody, a man. And just because this man might be a bus driver who is like who Iyanla said, stable, you know, integrity. He loves her. He treats people well. None of that matters. It only matters that he's a bus driver.
Yeah, and not only that, but Iyanla may not be looking for a man. I mean, she's older.
Right.
She's older. You know, this woman is
She's married and she's been married and divorced.
Right, she's trying to have kids. So I mean, she definitely seems like she's looking for. You know, she's in a time.
You know how when employers, they look for employees or candidates who have a degree. They look for those types of people because it's shown or they've proven that they have the drive, they have the education, well, ultimately education, but it's more about the drive that employer or employee has that they're looking for.
Why does a bus driver not have drive? How about it's the woman who thinks, it's the woman's perception of that. This woman in particular, in this case, the woman is putting this perception on this man.
In that case, yes. In her case.
This woman, Eboni K. Williams, I've seen her. I watched the whole season of Real Housewives of New York when she was on it. Is a nasty bitch. Okay. and she's a terrible attitude. She's an elitist, know-it-all. And she's one of these ones that always finds issue with everything. I couldn't stand her on the show. So it's not.
But it's not just her. It's other women that the other women also think this way.
This is why you have so many single Black women,
right?
Because they just don't choose a bus driver.
No, because there are a lot of bus drivers that would treat them well, that would love them, care for them, provide for them, would treat them like they are women on top of the world. But because you have a lot of snob women who don't give a damn and will turn their nose up to them. They are hard workers. They are hard workers. Some of them have degrees. Maybe they don't all have degrees, but they're not dumb men just because they are bus drivers. They're not lazy because they're bus drivers. There are a lot of good men who are in the realm where these women can meet them, but because these women think that they are, what did Kevin Samuels call them? Whatever, high value, whatever.
Yeah, this woman
they're going to die alone.
She again, I don't know who these women think they are. She's not like some spring chicken. This woman's been used and abused and tossed around. No man. These men not looking for something like that.
The hole is bigger than the Grand Canyon, huh?
Yeah, looking like raw meat. Now, I remember when I was in college working in retail. I worked for a high-end retail store. This is actually coming back to me, and I had a client who was a bus driver. And he used to come in and buy the most expensive suits and clothing. He was very into his appearance, always smelled really good.
Well, they do smell
very
good.
Nice. But he was a bus driver. So, I mean, people don't realize these bus drivers make decent income. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but for her, and people have the right to have their own standards and what they want in their life. So, I mean, this is another thing. We're trying to tell people who they should be with. If someone they have their own standards of who they want in their lives, then it's okay. So, yes, somebody might pick up this bus driver who smells good and whatever. But for her, or women like her,
she wouldn't even entertain him because he's
or women like her. Yeah, I mean, so
yeah, I guess you're right. She has a standard of being alone.
Have a standard.
Yeah,
she can have a standard, and she can die alone with a dog in her frozen embryos.
Right. Yeah.
She wants the single motherhood journey anyway. That's her choice. Her body, her choice, right?
Yeah, right. It is. Right. Except when little Junior with no father, the bastard child grows up and starts causing all the havoc that we talk about every week. Then we're gonna be back and blaming the mama. Where's the daddy? Where is your father? You're a single mother. Same cycle.
We will next time see her in the nearest nursing home, and we wondering what happened to her.
Definitely invest in nursing homes because a lot of these women are.
Yeah. People don't think
any other choice.
Right. People do not think what you talking about? Everybody's talking about embryos and all this stuff, freezing their eggs. What happens when these babies come and then they become adults and you don't have nobody? You're a burden to your children. I mean, it's sad to say, but this is what happens. You don't have a husband, and your kids are older, and you're getting older, and health issues come up because they do. Now you are a burden to your children. Mm-hmm. This happens. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's one thing if a spouse dies or, something like you become a widow or something like that. But
I bet you one thing, KJ. I bet you one thing. I bet you if next door Karen or Betty Jane scooped up that bus driver, then she's gonna be, taken out. It's gonna be a whole different. We be crying about that. Ebony's will be saying, well, she got a white woman or whatever. Let Betty and Karen scoop up that bus driver. We'll treat him like he's on top of the world, and I hope she does.
Yeah. Well, we have come to the end of the show tonight. So again, thank you so much for watching. We are so excited. If you weren't with us at the top of the show, we just hit 1,000 subscribers. So again, we are so excited about that. If you haven't subscribed, get onto YouTube, hit that notification bell, hit that follow link or subscribe link, and share this broadcast with your family, with your friends. Send it in a messenger. Tell them this is the best show you watched in a while on YouTube. And then join us next Wednesday for even more. All right. Again, you can continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Again, and subscribe. That way you get up-to-the-minute content when we post, and we appreciate the support. We are an independent media. Independent. And each time you subscribe, it does help make our voice that much stronger. You gotta help us with this algorithm on YouTube. So the more you comment, the more you subscribe, that does give us more, push our content up more on YouTube.
And incentives. The more we talk about black holes.
Yeah. Yes.
We're a wild conservative bunch here.
We are. Today actually was tame. So
yes, very
tame tonight. And so again, we are a necessary voice. You can check us out on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Bye.